Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Ask the HR Expert. My name is Katie Stewart, and I am with Tandem HR. Today, I would like to talk to you about preparing your business to bring employees back into the workplace post-COVID-19 shelter-in-place rules. So the first thing that you need to look at is how many employees you want to be bringing back into the workplace and when. So first of all, looking at the positions that you have, which of your employees are critical to have back in the physical workplace? And then based on the state's guidelines as well as your industry guidelines, you can try and determine if you need to be reopening your workplace in phases or stages, or if you can bring everyone back to work at once. Now, those that can telework with very little disruption to the business or to their role, you should allow them to telework as long as possible. You also want to have established, prior to bringing people back into the workplace, how you're going to assess if individuals are physically okay to come back into the workplace. So will you be utilizing a symptoms questionnaire, asking every employee as they come into the workplace certain questions, and then what will you be doing or what will your protocol be if someone says that they do have one of those symptoms? Will you be sending people for testing? Will you be taking body temperatures? And then also actually screening employees for any symptoms. You also want to create a process or procedure for your PPE. So training employees on how to properly use the PPE, proper care, maintenance, and disposal of that PPE. And will you be expecting employees to enter the workplace or facility already having that PPE on, or will you be providing it to employees once they arrive at work? And then finally, you want to establish a process for when an employee has a confirmed case of COVID-19. Who should they be reporting this to? Employers do have an obligation, if someone does test positive, to let the rest of the workplace know, but you need to maintain confidentiality of this individual's identity. And then you also need to be able to determine who may have been exposed or in contact with that individual and make sure that they are aware that they potentially could have been exposed. The rest of the workplace should still continue to work during this time, but also should understand what they need to do if they now come down with symptoms and who they should be notifying and kind of starting that process over again. Now, we also want to be able to look at some payroll changes. So you want to determine if you will be bringing your employees back full hours and full pay. Will there be any changes to employees' pay rates, schedule? If so, you really want to make sure that you are notifying your employees of this prior to it becoming effective. What about, will you be paying employees for taking safety precautions? So if they are having to come in 10 minutes early to put on proper PPE, will you be paying them for that time? And we would recommend that you do this at this point. Now, if you do make any changes to employees' rate of pay, you also need to be considering if they are still making enough to cover minimum wage, so whether that be federal or state minimum wage requirements. And if you have employees that are exempt from overtime, you need to make sure that they maintain the salary threshold of $684 per week, or you will have to reclassify them as non-exempt, and then they will be eligible for overtime pay. Now, also be considering any work-related expenses that employees may be incurring. So using their own telephone, internet service, something like that. And if they are an hourly employee that is only paid minimum wage, will you be helping them by reimbursing them for these costs? So you also need to be looking at your health benefits and how they may be impacted by employees not working as much, maybe having reduced hours when they're coming back to work, all of that. So really know what your plan provisions are and make sure that you're educating all of your employees on this. And then determine visitors. So you need to have also protocol for visitors in the workplace. Will you allow visitors in the workplace? If so, what will the protocol be? Will you also make them go through screening, wear proper PPE, limit the number of visitors in the workplace, etc.? And finally, you really need to make sure that you are prepared for increased absenteeism. There are going to be some employees that are not comfortable coming back to work, and there are going to be people that have symptoms that even though they may not have COVID-19, they may have some of the symptoms on the list, and you need to be prepared for them not reporting to work. So I hope you have found this helpful, and it will help you prepare your business post-COVID-19 shelter in place. Thank you.